Good morning. My Iceland travel logs continue today. Different port, and this time it's Akureyri, which is the second city here in Iceland. And behind me you can see the whale tail monument and the ship just over my shoulder on the shot. What am I doing today? Well, I've been here, this is my fourth time, and I'm just having a wander around, revisiting some of the locations I've been to before, doing a little bit of geocaching. I've just actually walked past a geocache. I was too eager to get going and forgot that there was one at the port, so I'll get that on the way back. But I'll visit the church here, tell you a little bit more about that when I get there, and then probably up to the Botanical Gardens, which I really enjoyed last time I was here. This time, chance to do a bit more, hopefully flower photography, assuming there's plenty in bloom. So why not join me as I have a wander around Akureyri? Before heading up to the church, I took a diversion to look for a couple of geocaches. One was located outside the library, the other at the Settlers Monument, which shows Helgi the Thin and his wife, the first people to settle in Akureyri in AD 890. Retracing my steps, I headed for the main shopping street, making the most of the many photographic opportunities that are to be found along the street. I think I'm the only passenger on the ship who didn't have a selfie with the Icelandic troll. I'm sitting outside the Lutheran State Cathedral here in Akureyri, or the Akureyri Church as it's often just referred to. I've been here many times, I've photographed it many times, but I just wanted to make a few comments about it, which I can't remember whether I included them in previous videos or not. The first thing to say is it's quite an imposing building, and one of the reasons for that is it was designed by the same architect who designed the big cathedral in the middle of Reykjavik. And when you realise that, you can see common themes in the architecture. I've not been up to the church today, but I am assuming it's closed because the door is shut and there's a notice attached to it. I'll go up and have a look a little bit later. But if you do come here and you get the chance to have a look, it's well worth going inside. The stained glass windows are worthy of comment. There's some really nice modern stained glass in there, and if it's open when I get there, I'll drop in some photos from this visit. If it's closed, I'll try and drop in a few photos from a previous visit to show you. The other thing about stained glass windows here is you will often see written down that the windows came from the bombed Coventry Cathedral and that they were reclaimed, brought here and included in this building. In fact, that's not true. They found out a few years ago now that in fact they were found in London and they sourced the church that they came from, and they're not from Coventry Cathedral. But the links between Coventry and this cathedral remain. One of the things you'll find inside is a small replica of a statue from Coventry Cathedral. The statue at Coventry is in the remains of the old cathedral, and it represents peace and reconciliation. Today is very dull and overcast, but I just want to comment a little bit about photography in these conditions. There is actually some detail in the sky. If you look very carefully, it won't show up on this video, but there is detail there, and it's possible to bring that out in post-production. So the images that I'm going to be creating today are ones where I'm exposing for the highlights. In other words, I'm making sure the sky doesn't blow out and then bringing back the details in the shadows afterwards. That way you can create images like you can see on the screen now with detail in the sky, even though it's a dull overcast day when it was created. From here I'm heading down to the Botanical Gardens, which is just a short walk in that direction. The walk over to the Botanical Gardens gives the opportunity to photograph an LGBT-themed bench and steps. A little closer to the gardens, there is a grammar school with an intriguing sculpture in its grounds. I've come up to the Botanical Gardens here in Akureyri, and I'm using the opportunity to practice some of my flower photography techniques. Dull overcast days are actually great for doing flower photography because you don't have the harsh shadows, and it allows the flowers, the colours of the flowers to actually be the centre of attention rather than the shadows. The usual thing with my camera's flowerscapes of getting down low, shooting up worm's eye view, that type of effect. Then in addition to this, I've been making sure I've found my hero flower in the flowerscape. I've also been working with shallow depth of field, and I've been trying out a few techniques with my phone as well. With your phone, if you put it into portrait mode, which you might think of as just being of use for making portraits, then you can use this to get a selective depth of field with your flower photography. So there's a couple of images on the screen here showing the original image, the image in portrait mode where I've been able to blur out the background using the edit tools, and then finally applying lighting effects to it. And I think you'll agree it's quite a remarkable way of producing interesting flower images. So I'm going to carry on shooting around here, then I'm going to start working my way back into town and possibly back to the ship. The route I took from the gardens took me past some traditional wooden buildings and down to the coastal road, which is a pleasant walk with good photo opportunities and views across the fjord to where Ambience was docked. Please remember to like and subscribe, as that really helps the channel. My next travel log or port guide will be from Ísafjörður, which we visited the next day. Once that video is uploaded, you can click on the link that's on screen. So until next time, keep making great photos. Bye for now.